We will start a little bit earlier than usual, so our webinar starts right now. Good morning, Miss Amy Christensen from New Mexico, the United States. Good morning, everyone, my colleagues and friends in Vietnam. Welcome to the 6th webinar in the series of webinars on English language teaching, titled Reflecting on Thinking, Practicing, and Doing, hosted by CML Retract and sponsored by Relo. We have worked together for 5 months, and today we are going to celebrate our achievements. Right after 2 hours of webinars, from 8:15 to 10:15, we will join the virtual closing ceremony. My director, Dr. Hồ Thanh Mỹ Phương, and Mr. Gerald Frank, Relo Vietnam director, will attend to deliver the closing remarks. I hope that all of you will stay with us until the last minute. Before the closing, I will invite you to turn on your camera to take some group photos, so be prepared. The topic of the webinar today is cooking as a metaphor for mixed level classes. We believe that teaching mixed methods level classes is one of the most challenging issues facing all English teachers, especially in our context in Vietnam. Students are from different groups. Students in the same class are from different groups, disadvantage and advantage, majority and minority. Many students gradually lose their way or mất kiến thức as they get to higher grades. All of these issues will be presented and discussed during this final webinar. So now, may I invite Ms. Amy Christensen to start the webinar. I will get back to you for the closing ceremony at 10:15. Amy, let's start.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction, Mr. Linh Tran. I appreciate all the help that you have given us during these webinars. I want to welcome everybody tonight, and I want to confess to you that I think the best food in the world comes from Vietnam. I have been there on 3 different occasions, and every time I have the most amazing food. So I'm convinced that you all have the best cooks in the world. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about how cooking is like teaching a mixed level class, because you can't cook just one dish to please everybody. You have to have a variety of dishes with a variety of tastes and a variety of textures to meet everybody's needs at the dinner table. So first of all, you should be very proud of yourselves for thinking that you have the best food, because I really do think you do. And I want to go ahead and jump into our PowerPoint so that we can get started on talking about mixed level classes. So let me begin by opening up our PowerPoint here, and we will get started. So I want to let you know that tonight we're going to discuss the benefits and challenges of working with large mixed level classes. We're going to review differentiated instruction theory. We're going to identify some strategies for effectively teaching with differentiated instruction. You're going to participate in Nearpod activities. We'll visit some websites with resources about differentiation. We'll take one last look at our Tech for Teaching website, and then we will have our closing ceremony to celebrate the fact that you have sat through 6 of these webinars. So let me get started by having you right away go into a breakout session. And what I want you to do in this breakout session is to either identify the benefits or the challenges of teaching large level mixed classes. And you might be thinking, Amy, what are the benefits? There are some that have been identified by the experts, and I think that all of you as expert teachers can also identify some benefits for teaching large mixed level classes. So what we're going to do this time is a little bit different from what we've done before. I'm going to ask you to pay very close attention to your breakout room number. And if you are in an even breakout room, so if you're in 2, 4, 6, 8, or 10, I'm going to ask your group to think about 3 benefits of working with large mixed level classes. If you're in an odd number, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, I want your group to think about challenges for working with large mixed level classes. And instead of coming back and speaking those out loud, I'm going to ask you to ask one person in your group to post those benefits and or challenges to the group chat. So in the group chat, the person that's writing it, say like group 1, and then give us your 3 challenges. Or maybe you are group 6 and you're going to give us the 3 benefits of working with a large mixed level class. So I hope you all got that. I'm going to break you into 10 groups, and it's just randomly assigned. So the first thing, of course, is to just jump right in and start talking about benefits and or challenges according to the group number that you have. So let me go ahead and stop my share and get back into the breakout rooms here. And I am going to create 10 breakout rooms. And here we go. If you could join your room, pay attention to what group you have. If you're a 1 or if you're an even or odd, and I will put the directions again in a message that hopefully you will all get. So if you are not in a room, if you could click on the message that says join a room so that you can contribute your ideas to the group. If you're joining us now, right now we're working in breakout rooms, identifying challenges and benefits of working with large mixed level classes. If you want to join a group, that would be great to contribute your ideas. If you want to just hang out here for a moment, that's fine too. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm sure you probably needed an hour to talk about that because there are lots of benefits and challenges, especially challenges to working with mixed level classes. So I apologize if you didn't have quite enough time. Also, some people lost internet connection and they got kicked out of their breakout room. And I wasn't sure exactly what room you were in. So I may have moved a few of you around, but it's all good. What I would like to see now are some of your ideas that you have come up with in your groups. And I see that group 7 has already sent, they sent me a direct message. I'm hoping that, oh, good. Thank you for sending that to everybody. It's noisy and it's difficult for teachers to control the room. I get that. I don't have enough time to get to all the students. It's hard to give them individual care. Teachers cannot create the best learning environment for all students. Teachers have to prepare a lot for the lesson to suit all students' levels. It comes down to time, doesn't it? There's just simply not enough time in the day always to differentiate every lesson. But hopefully some strategies that we share tonight will help you with that. But I can't give you the gift of time. I wish I could stretch our days from 24 hours to, I don't know, maybe 32 hours, but not possible. I see for group 5 challenges, weaker students may not feel confident. They may feel discouraged. Absolutely. It may be hard for teachers to choose a suitable activities and organize them and set them up. Indeed, it's difficult to control students with different kinds of behaviors. Some students get bored easily. Yes, I understand that. Here we have some more challenges from group 3. Some students are fast, some are slow, so can't make sure that everybody understands the lesson. Difficult to control the class, especially the noise. Grading, especially writing, takes a lot of time. Yes. Okay, here we have some benefits. Whoop, whoop. Stronger students help lower students and they can better help themselves. Isn't that so true? I'm sure we've all read the research that when you have peer mentors, it's oftentimes the stronger student that gets the most out of it, because while they're explaining it to a weaker student, it helps them better understand the concepts themselves. So it's actually kind of a win-win situation. Thank you for pointing that out. There can be more cooperation in the class. Oops, I got to scoot that down so I can read it. Students feel less stressed because it's easy to get ideas from different ways of teaching. Woohoo, love it. Group 4, teacher can get a bunch of ideas. Students help each other. Good preparation from the teacher. Absolutely. Group 10, the advantages are we can have many different solutions when we have to deal with difficulties in the classroom. Students can learn a lot from their fellow classmates. Absolutely. Students can help less abled learners. Wow, these are absolutely terrific. Thank you so much for sharing. Group 1 says challenges are teachers have difficulty in grouping students. It takes time to choose suitable materials, and there's a lot of noise in the classroom. Group 6 benefits of working with mixed level classes promotes cooperation. Students, there's various activities or exercises for one lesson. Students have to think more. That means teachers can improve themselves. Ooh la la, we're talking about professional development. I love it. Let me see if I can go back to that one. We can see improvement of the less able students, which is encouraging for teachers. Excellent. When faced with challenges of mixed level classrooms, teachers do not know where to start. Preparation takes longer. Students will be more demanding. Advantages, students are able to learn at their own pace. Students become independent learners. Students develop strong relationships with their peers. Challenges, finding appropriate teaching resources, organizing appropriate groupings, building on effective self-access centers in the classroom, determining the individual needs of the student. Well, I have a list of benefits and challenges from the experts, but I think that you all are, because I think you have identified every single one that the experts have. So I think maybe my job is done here tonight. I'm going to leave. Bye. Just joking. I'm back. Let's take a look at what the experts said, but you are spot on. All of these answers were absolutely terrific. Let me go back into the PowerPoint and show you what Natalie Hess, who's written a book on mixed level classrooms. And she said one of the benefits is that you have a large class, at least there's enough students for interaction. And maybe some of you are saying, oh, I wish I had a small class. I have taught a class before of 4 students, and it was really challenging because they were sick of each other by the end of the term. I much prefer having a class with at least 20 to 30 students. But I understand that having a class of 50 or more is challenging because that's what I had in China when I taught there for a year. So I kind of understand where some of you are coming from. There's a variety of human resources. We talked about peer mentoring and being able to use different students' abilities in the class to help others. I think that is a benefit. Come on, guys. It's never boring, right? I don't think I've ever left a large class going, wow, that was really boring, because there's just so much activity and so much energy in a large classroom. And I like how one group pointed out that professional development occurs naturally. And that's because we're always seeking ideas to make our mixed level classes better. Challenges. It feels out of control. There may be classroom management issues. There's lots of written work to assess. It's difficult to provide for individual feedback, and sometimes activating the quiet students is a challenge. So again, I think all 10 of these ideas you all identified. So bravo for your brilliance tonight. Let's continue, shall we? I want to show you a video right now. And this character, his name is the Swedish Chef. And he is from a movie or a series of TV shows called The Muppets. And what's interesting about this character is that he doesn't really speak English. In fact, he doesn't really speak any language. He kind of mumbles and says words that are incomprehensible. But occasionally he throws in an English word, so you can kind of understand what he's saying. So let me go ahead and open this up in YouTube and have us watch this movie for just a moment. And let me see if I can do this right. Okay, here we go.
In this group, the home is really used to burn the species spicy chili juice. Dear Lord, the species spicy. This is good, the skin, but this is commercial with the it's you, the hotsy-totsy. You heard. Once work, this were the pepper sauce. This here, this here, this here, this here. No fruit. Yes, behold, well, fiction was just your close for more species, spicy, cheesy, Julie Sushi. Be sure with the hotsy-totsy, in Svirg, it's Svirg the pepper sauce and beer. This you show. She was the first divorce in all day. It's a food. Then Svirg the home, the sleep, the cook.
Okay, that was a pretty silly little video. But what I think it shows is that, let me make sure I close that one down. What I think it shows is that sometimes what we do in the classroom is incomprehensible to our students. So they're trying to understand us, but all they hear are bark, right? So I think sometimes I am like the Swedish chef. I think sometimes when I'm teaching, that I don't always provide comprehensible input. I think sometimes I think I'm prepared, but I don't have all of the ingredients that are necessary to help my students learn. Sometimes I think I don't stop enough to assess my classes. And sometimes I don't allow for enough activities. So as you saw in the video, the chef is talking, but none of us can really understand him. And he thought he was prepared with the ingredients, and he was putting little bits in, and then he dumps the whole bowl in. So he didn't really stop to make sure that things were going well. He wasn't tasting it every couple of seconds to make sure that his dish, his hot pepper sauce, was going to be good for his eaters and for his audience. And sometimes he was only making one dish. And maybe we have students that don't like spicy dishes. So again, I sometimes think I'm like the Swedish chef, and then I don't do enough preparation and enough thinking about how to make my lessons accessible to all of my learners. But that's what we're here to talk about tonight. I want to share with you a quotation from a woman who's kind of the queen of differentiation, at least in America. And her name is Carol Ann Tomlinson. And she wrote several books about differentiation. And she says that teaching is difficult. Teaching really well is profoundly difficult. Even the best among us fall short of our professional aspirations and feel diminished in those moments. And yet, for many, the work of teaching is also nourishing. So I guess what I like about this quote, or at least the beginning of this quote, is that she uses the word nourishing. And I think for us, we become better cooks and better teachers by understanding that we always can do better, because teaching is really difficult. She finishes this quote by saying, "We are challenged to become the best version of ourselves as we challenge our students to become their best as well." So I appreciate in these last 5 webinars and for tonight that you are continually trying to challenge yourself to become the best teachers that you can. And trust me, I am on this journey with you. What I want to do now is that I want to go to Nearpod and try an activity that uses differentiation strategies. So if you want, and the first 40 people that do this can participate, and the rest of us will just watch my screen that I'm showing you. So if you want to go to nearpod.com, and then it asks you to enter a student learning code. So go to nearpod.com, and I will get the code for you right now. Okay. And I'm going to do live participation. Here we go. Start new session. Here we go. So if you go to nearpod.com and enter the code, we're waiting for it. Here's a drum roll. There it is. It's 7PXU9. And it doesn't matter if it's lowercase or uppercase letters, but it's 7PXU9. And it says join.nearpod.com. But honestly, if you just put in nearpod.com, there will be a place to put a student code. And this is our 5-digit student code. So let me give you all a few moments to join our Nearpod. I'm going to check the chat. Somebody put that code in the chat. I appreciate that. And if I go here, you can see the code up here. Right now I have 6 people in the Nearpod, so I'll give you just a moment to see if we get a few more participants. Again, it's nearpod.com, and that's nearpod.com, and up here is the code. And let's see how many people we have. I'm getting a few more people. So there's a Swedish chef doing his little dance. Maybe if you're familiar with the Muppets, you'll know that Kermit the Frog is probably the most popular Muppet. He's a green frog that likes to sing. Let me give you a few more minutes. We have 23 people in there. We'll see if we get up close to 30, and then we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to ask you, first of all, to do one of 3 options using the word differentiation. So we will see if we can get maybe 35 and we'll get started. I've got somebody else in the chat. Let me see what's going on here. Okay, great. Somebody's in that Nearpod. Okay, look, oof, we're all the way up to 39. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's practice some activities. Again, if you haven't seen the webinar about how to use Nearpod, Nearpod is a free software program that you can use in your classrooms. There's a variety of activities that you can do, and you can set this up for your classes. You can do it live like we're doing tonight, or you can have students join kind of a self-access. And after this webinar, I will post the self-access code. If you didn't get in right now, you can try this later if you wish on your own. Otherwise, we'll just kind of try to do it together tonight. So let's practice some activities. Our first activity is choose an option below. And for those of you who are not in Nearpod, if you just want to jot down on a piece of paper just to kind of be participating as well. But the point of this is just to kind of show you what Nearpod looks like again, and also to give you an idea of some ways that you can differentiate your classrooms. So choose an option below. I want you to either draw a visual representation that demonstrates what differentiation is, or write a complete definition of differentiation. Or you can create a metaphor or analogy that represents differentiation. So those are your three choices. You don't have to do all three. We don't really have time for that. But if you could choose one of those, especially you 40 people who are in the Nearpod, and post your answers. And the way that you're going to do that is that I'm going to switch to the student view. So if you are not in Nearpod, this is what it looks like for the students or the participants. It shows, oh, my computer is slow tonight. It says, draw a visual representation or write a definition or create a metaphor. So if you are going to write something, you're going to click on the T, that's the text box, and it will pop open a text. And here is where you can type what your differentiation definition is, or you can type a metaphor. So differentiation is like blah, 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 blah. Or if you are more of a visual person, you can use the tools down here to maybe draw a picture of what you think differentiation looks like. And I'm a terrible artist, absolutely terrible. But I'm going to try to draw a picture here of what I think differentiation is. And you can see that I am not a very good artist. Okay, let's see if I can go back to my tools. And I got to move my Zoom bar. Here we go. Maybe I'll do a... So we'll give a few moments to allow people to put in their ideas. Oh dear, you probably don't know that I'm trying to draw a light bulb. Okay, yeah, you can see that art, being an artist is not in my future career path here. Okay. Ta-da. But I think it's kind of fun to play around with this. I hope you have a chance to do this as well. Oh, bad. There we go. Okay, so anyway, that's just me being silly. I'm trying to show you that I think differentiation is taking a light and breaking it down into its different spectrums. I'm married to a man who is has a PhD in physics, and he studies light. So he's always talking about how light can be broken down into different wavelengths. So that's kind of what I think differentiation is all about, is taking the big and breaking it into the parts. But that's just my idea. Let me go ahead and go back to the teacher view and see if we have any answers from our 40 participants. Okay, I see some better artists out there. I see somebody with I'm going to have to click on that one because that one looks very interesting. Different salt and pepper, cat and dog. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. I love it. I see some other people drawing. I'm waiting some. Oh, look at that. All the people lined up with a little red. And here we have using differentiation in teaching means tailoring learning instructions and classes to suit the needs of individual students. Sometimes teachers implement differentiated content within their courses and their classes to suit these different requirements. Wow, that was beautifully written. I could never come up with that so quickly. There's unhappy and there's happy. Look at that, little cherries and a red cherry. Wow, these are brilliant. Okay, here's a hand. Give me a hand. I wish that we had time. Look how cool that is. That's like a square does not equal a circle. Absolutely. Wow, these are brilliant. I love them. Okay, here's another one that we can read. Differentiation is like a garden with many different flowers of various colors and of diverse sizes and different fragrances. Oh, wow. Beautifully written. Beautifully written. Let's see what we have here. Differentiation is like an international city where many people from around the world come to live. Good heavens, you guys are all poets in the making. Same type, but obtaining special characteristics. I agree. So it's the same lesson with different characteristics. I wish that we could wait all night. I know I'm not giving you much time. Look at this. That's hysterical. I wish we had more time to have you fully explain some of these drawings. But if you were my students, we would go into that. Personalized learning, differentiation. Ooh, a little Venn diagram. Beautiful. Beautiful. Actually, that's still in progress. We may get even more to that. These are great. I hope that these get saved. Maybe we'll come back and look at these again before we leave, because there are some absolutely terrific ideas. What we did just now is we did something with differentiation, and that is to let students choose a form of expression that best meets their individual strengths. So if you're very verbal, perhaps you prefer to write something. If you're more poetic and musical, or I'm not sure what the word is I'm looking for here, but creating a metaphor, you're more creative, you kind of think outside the box, that maybe that would be what suits you best. And then maybe a visual representation is how you can express that you understand what the meaning of differentiation is. We're going to stop Nearpod now, and we're going to go back to the PowerPoint. But those of you in Nearpod, keep it open, because we're going to come back to it in a few minutes. So thank you. Look, I'm still getting these great ideas here. Ah, I love it. I am so coming back and taking screenshots of this after we are done here. But let me go back and share our PowerPoint, and we will continue to talk about differentiation. Okay, here we go. I think you probably remember one of our webinars where we talked about the 6 principles for exemplary language teaching. And principle number 1 was know your learners. And I think that's a key component of differentiation, is knowing your learners. It goes on to say, create conditions for language learning. So to me, this is about the content and how you're going to present it to your students, which is the process. Design high quality language lessons. Again, this is more content. Perhaps this is more process. Number 3 is, excuse me, that was number 3. Number 4, adapt lesson delivery as needed. I know many of you mentioned that you would like to have the superpower of adaptation. Oops, we have somebody that's on mute. If we could ask everyone to mute themselves. Thank you. Whoops. Let me go into I can mute people here. Hold on just a second. Okay, I think that person is done. Okay, back to our PowerPoint. Excuse me. Number 5 is monitor and assess language development. So we always have to be on top of this to make sure that our students are learning what we are intending them to learn and absorb as part of their language development. We know that one size does not fit all. The Carol Ann Tomlinson, who I mentioned before, and she's the writer of How to Differentiate Instruction in Academically Diverse Classrooms, said that differentiated instruction is shaking up what goes on in the classroom so that students have multiple options for taking in information, making sense of ideas, and expressing what they learn. So the definitions that you all gave me in Nearpod, I would say we're very close to this. We're spot on. The metaphors, fascinating, and the drawings, I can't wait to explore more. But we know that one size does not fit all. Back to that definition, she talks about content, she talks about the process, and she talks about the product. So let's look at each one of these curricular elements and explore some websites that maybe will give us some ideas and some strategies to use in our own classrooms. You may have seen, excuse me, this infographic before, and this comes from Carol Ann Tomlinson's research, and it has 50 strategies for differentiated instruction. In a perfect world, we would spend the next 24 hours in this Zoom meeting talking about each one of these. Unfortunately, none of us have that kind of time. So I'm going to just talk about a few of these strategies tonight. But I hope after this webinar that you'll come back into this PowerPoint and maybe take a screenshot of this page and look at some of these strategies online, because I do think they all have value in the classroom. As I've mentioned before, you are welcome to use the PowerPoints that I put in the Tech for Teaching. If you want to download them and change them up a little bit and present them to your colleagues at your schools, you are more than welcome to do that. What is mine is yours. Okay, the first thing to talk about is differentiating content. We know that we can use varied text and resource materials, that it's not just about our textbook. We can also bring in brochures, articles, other books, pictures. I love pictures, diagrams, etc. I think we all understand that we can present the content all at once, but it's really best learned if we break it into many lessons afterwards. So take the whole and break it into the parts. Also, we need to provide varied support systems, graphic organizers, audio recordings, use peer mentors. And I think that most of you are probably doing all of these different activities or strategies right now. What I wanted to show you were some graphic organizers that you can download for free. We know that graphic organizers give visual representations of facts and show relationships by comparing, contrasting, and classifying information. Graphic organizers can help students understand data, identify main concepts, assign labels, blah, 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 blah. Again, you can come in and read this PowerPoint more closely after our webinar this evening. Let me, excuse me, let me go into the website for free graphic organizers. And this is one of my favorite websites. It's called Education Oasis. And of course, one of the many reasons why I love it is because there are free graphic organizers for you to use in your classes. For example, I'm just going to randomly click on cause and effect. Goodness, got something in my throat. And here are some graphic organizers that you can download and fill in or just print and have your students use in the classroom. So there are lots and lots of these here. Some of them are for elementary age. Some of them are a little bit more advanced. But I highly recommend that you check out this website so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Because as some of you mentioned in the challenges of teaching mixed level classes is collecting all of the activities and creating the lessons. So if somebody has done that for us and we have permission to use it for free, like we do on this website, by all means, do it. Let me show you two graphic organizers that I downloaded from this website, and you can see how perhaps we could use them. This are two about characters. So if you're talking about a story, you could just have them write Swedish chef video. And then one of the traits of the Swedish chef, evidence that you found to show he has this trait, and an explanation of the trait. And I could say maybe one of his traits is that he is carefree. And evidence of that is that at the very beginning of the video, he sings a little song and just throws his cooking tools up in the air. So he doesn't really think about consequences. So I think that might be why he's kind of a carefree chef. And the explanation then, or the proof, would be what he does is sings a song and tastes his food, and it's not really paying a lot of attention to what he's doing. So he's kind of carefree, perhaps. Here's another example of a graphic organizer that you can use. And again, I apologize if you're watching on your mobile phone. This is very hard to see, but I'm hoping that you'll have access to a computer and you can blow these up and look at them a little bit more closely. But here we can have a character map, some of the actions that the Swedish chef does, what he says, which is not a lot, what his feelings are, how does he feel? And we could say that he feels very overwhelmed, right, at the end, after he tastes the hot pepper sauce and it's so hot that steam comes out of his ear. And then again, we could have a description of what the Swedish chef looks like. So these are just two examples of graphic organizers that you can use. The beauty of this is that you can use the same video, the Swedish chef, for example, and choose graphic organizers of differing complexity. And you can group students and have some of the lower level students work on one graphic organizer and maybe make one that's a little bit more advanced for a middle group, and then maybe a third one for your highest group. And again, you don't have to say, I'm giving the low group the easiest one. I think if you can, just say, here, this group, I want you guys to get together. Here's your graphic organizer, here's yours. And then I want you to share with another group what your group came up with to bring everybody back together. Next, let's look at differentiating process. And these are the sense-making activities. We can differentiate process according to readiness. So we need to do some kind of pre-assessment of skills. Then we need to match the complexity to support the student's current level of knowledge. We can anchor activities to student interests, which creates motivation for students. And honestly, I know sometimes you can't do that because you're given a curriculum and you don't have a lot of room to maneuver it or to add in your own special lessons. But I still think we can try to figure out ways to motivate our students by appealing to their interests. And finally, you can create small group and independent tasks. And you can do this using tiered assignments, learning centers, cubing, jigsaw, blah, 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 blah. There's so many different ways that you can do this. But these are the things I wanted to talk about this evening, or this morning, excuse me, for you all. Some pre-assessment strategies, and perhaps you've done these before, but I oftentimes, when we're starting a new unit, I will put large poster papers around the room and have the students write what they already know about a topic. And the reason why I use poster paper is that when they're done, I'll roll it up and I'll bring it in at the end of the unit. And then I'll have students with a different color of marker write on there what they learned about the topic. So this first one is just to kind of give me an idea of where students are in relationship to the topic that we're studying. Another thing I do is I use yes and no cards. And in fact, before classes start, every one of my students in their notebook has got a green card, a red card, and a yellow card. And they're just strips of paper that they keep in their notebook. And I use these cards in lots of different ways. One way is green is yes, and red is no. And I will ask a series of questions that are yes/no questions, and students either put up yes or no. Sometimes I have them put up a yellow card, which means I don't know, and I'm not going to even guess. And that's a way for me to kind of judge how well they know the topic in advance of presenting it to them. I also use these cards, and maybe many of you do this too, when we're correcting homework. So instead of me correcting everybody's homework, we do it together, and different students will read their answers, and the rest of the students either agree with what the student said or they disagree, and they'll hold up green cards or red cards. And if they hold up a red card, then that student has to tell the student who's presenting what they think is wrong with their answer. You can also just simply stand up or sit down. So if you have a question, is anybody familiar with the Swedish Chef? Maybe all of you would say sitting down, or maybe some of you are Muppet fans and you'd stand up, right? So you could also make this a physical activity, which I think is good, especially for younger students who get ants in their pants and need to move around a little bit more. Another technique is to use KWL charts, what I know, what I want to learn, and what I learned. And again, this is a very common technique for pre-assessment. You can create entrance and or exit tickets. So you can give every student, write a question on the board, or you can give them a physical piece of paper and ask them to write what they know about the topic, or you can have 2 questions on it or 1 question, however you want to design it. You can devise checklists where you have a list of learning outcomes and you have students say yes or no if they have met them already or think they have met them already. And another idea is just to use a pre-writing prompt where you have students write for 10 minutes on a certain topic, collect those and see what it is that the students know already about the topic. Let me show you some ideas perhaps that you could use if you want to tier your assignments. And that was one of the strategies they talked about on those 50 strategies. Breaking News English, one of my favorite websites, does a fabulous idea of having different, or does a fabulous job of having different news stories in different levels. So they can appeal to your beginning students, your intermediate students, and your advanced students. And one of the benefits of this website is that you can print the exercises or use the interactive ones online. And now that many of us are teaching online, again, perhaps this will be a resource for you in your classrooms. So let me go ahead and get into that Breaking English, and we will take a peek at that. So here is the website, and you can see that they have 3,129 free English news lessons in 7 levels. And you can see every day they update with a couple of more lessons. What I want to show you is one about food because, of course, we are studying food. So let me see if I can find that one that I was going to have you look at. And it is Breaking News English Lesson World Food Prize. So this is level 4, and you can see the paragraph here. And again, this is level 4 is pretty high. It says a nutrition expert has won the World Food Prize. She got the prize for her pioneering methods of raising nutrient-rich fish. If I jump to that level 6, you can see that this language has changed a little bit more. It's gotten a little bit more complex. Here it says, a nutrition expert has won the World Food Prize for her innovative work on fish. Dr. Shakuntala Thilstad got the coveted prize for her pioneering methods of raising nutrient-rich fish. So just by reading those two sentences, you can see there is a remarkable difference from level 4 and level 5. If we jump into level 6, we can again see that the language has gotten more complex. The World Food Prize has been awarded to a nutrition expert for her innovative work on fish. Dr. Shakuntala Thilstead, 71, received the coveted prize for pioneering new methods of raising fish that are rich in nutrients. I'm going to cut that down. She also, of raising fish that are rich in nutrients. Actually, those two sentences were rather similar, but the language does get more rich and there's more details that are included the higher you go in the levels. If I go back to level 4, I can also show you the beauty of this. Not only do you have a snippet from real world news, you also have a activities. Right here it says listen, and you can play this and students can listen to this in different speeds. So the slowest, slower, medium, faster. So let's try it.
World Food Prize awarded to fish expert. This is breakingnewsenglish.com. A nutrition expert has won the World Food Prize.
Okay, I'm going to stop that. I think you got the idea, right? Let's try the fastest.
World Food Prize awarded to fish expert. This is breakingnewsenglish.com. A nutrition expert has won the World Food Prize. She got the prize for her pioneering methods of raising.
So I think you can hear the difference, right? So this is kind of a fun way, I think, of having your students with different levels listen to things according that matches their level of proficiency. Here we have also activities for each of these. We have online activities for each one of these news stories. And you can also download the PDF of this and use that in your classroom as well. But just to give you an example, we could do a grammar exercise using this. So this is the story, and here students have to put in the correct preposition, and then they can check their work. We can go back here just to give you an idea of some of these exciting exercises on this. That was the prepositions. We could do a gap fill activity. And here they have to put in the correct tense of the verbs in parentheses. And here you have to, here it's actually not in parentheses, but the correct verb up here, and you have to decide if it's present or past or in a perfect tense. And so, and then at the end, you can check your answers. So I love this website. I do assign it to my students to work on in class. Sometimes I have them, if we're in a computer lab, work with partners, but I think this is something, a website that you could certainly have your students do at home or in a breakout room in Zoom, and you could pop into the breakout rooms to check their progress and to answer any questions. So again, this is a 20-page lesson with 40 exercises. If you prefer, you can go right to the PDF and you can see that these are all of the lessons. And here, I don't want to go too fast, but these are all online too. So we have vocabulary matching, we have true false questions, we have synonyms here. So it's a very rich, robust website that I hope you have a chance to explore. Okay, let me go back to our PowerPoint. And I see that we have a lot of people in the chat box. Let me see if I can make sure that everybody is. Yes, I'm so sorry. There are only 40 people allowed in your pod for the free version. So if you didn't get in, I apologize. You have to just kind of do it as with the rest of us through the teacher/student mode. So I am sorry that not everybody was able to get into that. And it looks like, can we download listening part? Yes, I do believe that you can download the listening part, the little audio clips. But this is a tremendous website. I think you'll find it all very interesting. Okay, let me go back into our PowerPoint and we will continue on talking about that. So there are 7 levels. I showed you level 4, 5, and 6. Sometimes the news stories are level 1, 2, and 3. They're very rarely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they just stretch them out usually over 3 levels. The lesson plans include vocabulary reviews, comprehension questions, and related grammar. And again, you can print the exercises or use the interactive ones online. And again, this was what I showed you if you want to download this PowerPoint after the webinar is over. If you click on these two, this will take you directly to where we just were if you wanted to explore that on your own. But again, you can see this is a level 4, this is a level 6. There's a lot more detail in this. There's direct quotations in the higher level while it's reported here, although we do have a quick quotation there at the end, but it's just richer language, more challenging for those students who can meet that challenge. And again, this was what I showed you on the website. These are all of the different exercises that you can use for each one of the readings. So if you're looking to supplement your lessons in your textbooks, I would definitely check out Breaking News English. And I promise, I'm not getting any money from them to promote this site. This is a free website for all of you and for me to use in our classes. Another website I wanted to show you, which kind of has a similar function, although it's not quite as rich, is the newsandlevels.com. This has a story for each level, level 1, 2, and 3. And there are grammar lessons by the level. And what I especially like about this website is that they have 2 books that they have included that they have put in level 1, level 2, and level 3. And the 2 books are Robinson Crusoe and The Little Prince. So you could all together read a book in your class and have students read it at different levels. And I think that is a good way to differentiate your instruction. So let's take a peek at that. I will go into the website again. I just trying to do this as quick as I can. Let's see, here we go. And this is This is the website. And again, because these are free websites, you are going to get advertisements, but it is what it is, right? So these are this is the homepage, how it looks. And again, they have fairly new articles every day. Here's one from yesterday, Men Flying to a Plane. There's Southern Lights. So there's millions of jellyfish. What I don't like about this website is that there isn't a search engine. There's no way to search. So you just kind of have to scroll through until you find a story that looks like it would be appealing to the interests of your students. And that goes back to what we mentioned about trying to appeal to the interests of your students. I did want to show you on this website this book number 1. I mentioned it is this is the book on Robinson Crusoe, and we have you can listen to the story.
Chapter 1. Family. My name is Robinson. I am from England. I am 18 years old. My father is German. My mother is English. I have 2 brothers. I have 1 sister. We are a good family.
And of course, this is kind of a robot that's speaking, so it's not the most natural English, but I think it is, for students who appreciate the oral input, that this is a way for them to better understand the story. And you can see we have words here that are highlighted, and those words are part of the vocabulary that is listed below. If I go to level 2, just to give you an idea of the differences, here we have level 2. We'll look at chapter 1, family, just so we can compare the 3 levels.
Chapter 1. Family. I was born in England in 1632. My father was German, and my mother was English. I had 2 brothers and 1 sister. We were a good family.
Okay, so there we have level 2. And finally, level 3.
Chapter 1, Family. I was born in York, England in 1632. My father was German, and my mother was English. I had 2 older brothers and a younger sister.
So do you see how you're getting more details at each level, but the meaning is still there? What I like even more is the story, The Little Prince, because I think it's such a beautiful story. And I will show you that very quickly. Let me go back to book 2. And this is The Little Prince. And here's level 1. And it includes the pictures from the story, which I think is nice. So again, I won't show you all 3 levels, but just to let you know that that is an option for you as well. I did want to show you the story that I had for this one. Let me very quickly, I think it was about French fries, if I'm remembering correctly. There we go. Nope. Let's see if this is the right one. Here we go. So this is the news and level. This is level 1, and it's a story about the most expensive French fries in the world. And again, I know this is probably hard to see if you're using a phone right now, so I apologize, but you can go into this website later. All of these resources are in the PowerPoint that you can access after this webinar. But this is level 1. If I switch to level 2, you can see that the language gets a little bit more complex. And then finally, we have level 3 with language that is even more complex. There's level 2, and there we have level 3. If you click on grammar up here, you can have your students do some grammar exercises. And it's not really so much exercises as it is content. So it gives you examples from the different books that we have and the different lessons. Honestly, I don't find the grammar to be tremendously useful, but I do like the leveled news stories. And I do like that you have a book that's available for you in 3 different levels to use. Okay, back to our PowerPoint. So in our PowerPoint here, these were the 3 levels that I just showed you. We have level 1, level 2, and level 3. It's the same content. It's just the complexity of the language and the complexity of the vocabulary words increases with each level. There's also a website for different levels of reading practice with exercises on this website here. And we have 3 different stories that I can show you. What makes this website different is that it's not the same story presented at 3 different levels. It's 3 different stories, but that can be okay too. So let's just take a quick look at this website as well. Okay, here we go. This is the website, and it is, again, a free website, so there are advertisements on it, but it gives you 100 free short stories for beginners. Or you can come down here and do English level 1 or English level 2, English level 3. So this is something I think worth exploring. There's English for children with 100 stories in it, English for children, 125 easy stories. All of these stories have audio with them as well as the written text. So something you could certainly check out. Let me see if this, I chose one which is different food levels. Whoops, that's not it, excuse me. Let me go here. I chose, let me go back into our website, excuse me. I chose a story. Well, here's one here. We have one on different foods. And this is fairly simple. Sarah's hungry. She goes to the kitchen. She opens the cabinet. There are a lot of snacks. The marshmallows are too sweet. The potato chips are too salty. The ice cream is too watery. And so again, here's a story. And this is, I would consider a medium level story or a medium level passage for your students to read. The vocabulary, it just tells you the vocabulary and it doesn't really give you a lot about it. If you click on it, it will give you the definition, but it's not really anything that's super interactive. If I go back to it, there is a dictation, and this is my favorite part about this particular website, is that you can have students listen to and again, there's a lot of, well, I don't know what happened there. Let's see if that opens up here. I think we're still waiting. There it goes. If I play this.
She goes to the kitchen.
And what the students need to do then is type in what they heard. So let's see if anybody can put that in the chat box.
She goes to the kitchen.
One more time.
She goes to the kitchen.
Okay, 2 points to the first person who puts that in the chat box. I'm opening up the chat. I'm coming down here to the bottom. Let's see, she goes to the kitchen, whoop, whoop, whoop. There I go, I see the people doing it, excellent. So again, that was a relatively easy one, but you can choose a story that has even higher complexity to it. I will, let me see if I have one more, making a sandwich. So you can see that this is a little bit higher complexity. Again, it's still about food, but you can have your students listen to the story. We can go to sentences, another activity here, and students have to make a sentence using the words that were from the story. So let's see if we have the first one, making a sandwich. So here we have the 4 words. Let's see who can put that into a sentence first. And what I like about this is it doesn't tell you what the first word is by capitalizing it. So you have to figure that out. So we have stomach, his was growling. Okay, chat box people, his stomach, do we have is or was growling? Good, excellent. And again, I didn't give you time to read this particular story. The story here is his stomach was growling, he had not eaten in 5 hours, blah, 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 blah. So I'm not really giving you all of the context here, but just to show you that there are exercises out there that have already been developed that you can use in your classroom. And again, this is a free website. I noticed somebody mentioned in the chat, is it available in Vietnam? I'm not sure if you have restrictions on certain websites or not in your schools. I know that I can use this website where I teach, but I don't know if that's necessarily true where you teach, but I would suspect it is because it's a pretty widely known website. Okay, let's go ahead and get out of that and continue to look at some more resources that we have for teaching differentiated instruction. Okay, so here are the 3. I didn't show you the all you can eat, that's the highest level. So again, if you open up this PowerPoint later, you can download this and check out that one. Let me continue on though. Another website that I think is interesting is this one called www.mesenglish.com. And what I like about this website is that it's got lower level materials on it. I seldom teach the lowest levels in my community college, but we do have students that come from language backgrounds that don't use the Roman numerals. So they don't know how to form a letter A or a letter B. So these kind of worksheets are useful in those kinds of situations. So let me show you this website, and whoops, perhaps you can see if it will be useful for your classes. I have to take a drink of water. It's getting warm in here. I'm excited, that's why. Okay, let's check this out. That was all you can eat. This is the flashcards So let me go down to the top. This is the website, and it says here free printables for teachers. So all of these downloads, again, are free. I looked up food worksheets because that's kind of what we're talking about. And if you click here, you can see that we have a website for vocabulary, and that was the one that I showed you in the PowerPoint. And you can use this one if you wish with your classes, if you have a lower level students. If you have higher level students, you can simply go back to our flashcards here. And of course, there's advertisements. Sorry, guys. Whoops, I've already beat that. Let me go back here. Here we go. There are other flashcards that you could use. That was just one example. If you come down here to the bottom, now I've forgotten where that is. Flashcards. There are flashcard sets. There are flashcards for different uses here. And I don't see where I found those. Let's see. Here we go. Food, drinks, and desserts. And these are the different flashcards that you can download and use. So again, go to this website, explore it, see if it's something that you might be able to use in your classes. Okay. I'm going to go back to our PowerPoint. And we will continue. So here is an example of one. You can have students do word search activities where you give them the picture and they have to find the word. You could also print the word down here. There's worksheets like that too on this website. So instead of saying cheese or having a picture of cheese, it actually has the word cheese. But I think this is a little bit more difficult if you have the picture because they have to recall what the word is and then find it in the word puzzle. And again, this is something maybe you necessarily wouldn't do in class because our class time is so valuable, but maybe it's something that you could do as an activity afterwards. Okay, moving on. Another website that I want to show you is EnglishGuide.org. And this is a website that we've looked at before, but I wanted to show it to you one more time because I think it's such a useful website. So let me go into that website and we will take a peek there. Whoops, okay, let's jump over here. And here is that website, if you recall. And what I like about this website is that it has already reviewed the different outside websites that it's sending you to. So this is a repository, it's a resource collection for you. We have vocabulary, we have listening, we have grammar, we have reference, and we have others. Tonight, I want to look at listening. And if you cruise down here, you can see that one of them is dining, since we're talking about food. So if I click on the dining website, this is going to come up, and these little thumbnails are color coded. So our blue ones are for our elementary level, our green ones are low intermediate, yellow intermediate, etc. And as I mentioned before, if you can get these 5 stars, that means it's been pre-approved as an excellent site versus highly recommended or recommended. So I don't even bother with the functional and the fair and the recommended. I always choose the extraordinarily and the highly recommended. So if I go up here and click on this, this is a green one. So this is a lower intermediate. If I click on that website, I will discover that I have a menu here that my students can look at. And then I have a download where they can listen to the story or the conversation. And then I can have them check out their understanding. So let's try this for a moment, shall we? How are we doing on time? I think we're doing okay. Let's play this for a second.
Hello. Hi, a table for 2, please.
Of course. Over here, please. Is the menu?
Thank you.
Are you ready to order?
Yes, we are.
What would you like for your starter?
I'd like French onion soup, please.
And I'll have a tomato salad, please.
And for your main course?
I'm not sure. I don't know whether to have the steak or Thai chicken.
Oh, I'd like the Thai chicken and rice, please.
Oh, okay. Me too.
So, that's 2 Thai chicken and rice. What would you like to drink?
I'll have a fresh orange juice and...
I'd like some mineral water, please.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so you heard the conversation.
This recording was brought to you by the British Council.
And it was brought to you by the British Council. So this website, the English Guide, sends you to all kinds of different activities from all kinds of different websites. This particular one was from the British Council, and it uses British English, which is fine because English does not belong only to Americans. So to have your students exposed to a wide variety of accents, I think is beneficial for their listening comprehension. Again, you can have them check their understanding. Do the customers want 2 tables? False. They want 1. There are 2 customers eating together? True, true, true. They order the same starter? False. They ordered different starters, but they did both order the Thai chicken. But you get the point. This is a website I'm crazy about because there are so many different games and websites that it sends you to. So again, look for those 5 stars, look for the ones that are appropriate to the level of your students. So you could have one group work on this particular one, which was lower intermediate. You could have another group work on an activity that has got higher intermediate. Let me see if I can open up one that I had selected before. We have a higher intermediate one here. I believe it is this one. I can't quite tell from these little tiny pictures. Maybe it was this one. That looks right. Let's view this one really quickly. And this is breakfast recipes, and it's going to ask your students to listen to it. And then there are pre-listening, there are idioms that are included. Here, the students have to decide which one is the correct answer. So you'll notice that this is a different website that we've actually looked at before, Randall's ESL Cyber Listening Lab, and it directed us to this website. So there are different activities using the same theme that you can have your students work on in the same classroom. Okay. Let me check the chat box. I see that people are, his stomach was growling, his stomach was growling, his stomach was growling. And there was the website. Can you please guide how to download listening? Let's see. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, but if you want to send me a message, I'm not sure who sent that. If you send me a message in Tech for Teaching, I'll see if I can answer that because I'm not quite sure which listening you are looking for. I'm not sure that you have to necessarily download it if you have the opportunity to play it for your students in class in a Zoom meeting like we just did, or perhaps you could assign the website as homework and have students download it there. So I'm not 100% sure that you can actually download it to your computer and play it that way. So actually, I'm not sure about the answer, but I can see if I can find out for you. Okay, let me go back to the PowerPoint and we'll continue on here. I have a few more things to show you tonight. Whoops. Let's go to Nearpod though real quick and see if some of this is sinking in. So if you go back to nearpod.com, and again, we already have 40 people in it. So if the rest of you could just follow along with me and we'll look at this very next activity. I will have you in this Nearpod. Uh-oh, what happened to my Nearpod? There it is. Sorry about that. Okay. Oh, let's take a second here to see if we had any more ideas from our differentiation. Wow, look how beautiful that is. Looks like it says it's still in progress. And differentiates the action of the process of differentiating. I agree. Differentiates an international city. We looked at that one. And we're waiting some drawings. Excellent. Ooh, I would love to look at those all day long. But we probably should continue with our Nearpod lesson. Let's go to the next activity. For this activity, I am in the student mode. There's our classroom results. What I want to have you do for this activity, if you haven't already, is fill in the missing words here. I'm changing it to student view, so if you're not in Nearpod, you'll know what, whoops, I need to go back one more. Okay, it looks like we missed out on one. I'm going to jump ahead. Nope. Let's go back. Sorry about that. This is kind of a review of what it is that we're talking about. And I wasn't quite ready for that. But let's go ahead and do it anyway. When we're differentiating, we're talking about the content, we're talking about the process, and we're talking about the products. We haven't looked at the products yet, so this is a little bit premature, but since we're here, let's go ahead and take and try to do it. What you do with this game is that you fill in the missing words up here in the missing blanks. And I tried to use adjectives here. So let me give you a moment to see if you can do that at home just by looking at what number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are. These are the different sentences that you're going to match up there. Let me give you a second for that. Let's go ahead and go into it and look at it, at the answers. We'll see if people had enough time. I may not have given you quite enough time for that. No. I see that people still need a few more minutes. Ooh, right there we have a winner, our first person that's done it. I'm going to go ahead because of time. Well, let me give you another minute or two. Let me go back into the student view. So those of you who are not in Nearpod, if you want to take another minute or two to see if you can, on a piece of paper, write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'll give you the first answer. Know that highly, and the first answer, effective teachers, whoops, why isn't it letting me do it? Oh, maybe because I'm not a student. Oh, there we go. Know that highly effective teachers teach students first, then content. Let's see if you can do 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'll give you a moment to work on that. I wish Nearpod would allow you to make the font bigger. It always kind of squishes it up at the top. To me, that's one of the flaws of Nearpod. So if any of you are software engineers, I suggest you write Nearpod and give them this suggestion to allow people to make the font bigger. Let's go ahead and check your progress here. I'm going to switch back to the teacher view and we will see if we have some more people that have put in their answers. And we'll go ahead and look at those answers all together. And if I want, I can hide student names here so that nobody feels singled out. And it's taking just a moment to load. Oh dear, it says my computer has a low battery. I don't know if my charger is not working. I may have to just give me one moment to go grab another charger. I think this charger may have died on me. Hold on just a second. In the meantime, try to work on this. Phew. This one is working. Excellent. Don't we always run into technology problems? Okay, let's go ahead and check the answers here. Okay, so the first one should be know that highly effective teachers be, let me see if I can move this out of the way, be clear on key concepts. Wait, where did that go? Be clear on key concepts. Think of assessments as a roadmap. Create lessons that engage all students in critical and creative thinking. Design lessons to be engaging for all students, and balance student selected and teacher assignments, tasks, and working arrangements. Could you all check to make sure that you have your microphones on mute so that we don't hear any extra noise in the background? I hear a very sweet child talking, but maybe Tuyet, maybe you could, there we go, thank you. Okay, I think somehow we missed a couple of these slides. I'm not sure where they went. They were working here earlier. Okay, I'm going to hold on to that and jump back into the PowerPoint so that I can continue sharing our last few strategies. And then we will have our closing ceremony. Another idea for the content that you are presenting is that you create different learning centers or workstations. And this chart was kind of designed by this Differentiated Instruction Strategies by Gregory. And this reference is also at the end of this PowerPoint. But this was suggested, that you, I'm having a crazy time with my PowerPoint here tonight, that you think about your workstations as a way to reach the multiple intelligences that your students have. So think about verbal linguistic tasks that your students could perform, body kinesthetic, musical rhythmic, visual spatial, interpersonal, logical, and interpersonal. So these are some tasks that you could have your students perform at the different workstations. The problem with workstations is that they're very difficult to set up, and they can become very complex, which is why if you design something for your class, I would so encourage you to share it with your colleagues, because if each of you can take a lesson and create workstations and share it with your colleagues, then your workload is going to be lowered, because you will have fewer people or fewer lessons to actually design on your own, because you'll be able to use the wisdom of your colleagues. But these are some ideas, and I'm sure that you've used many of these in your classes, but I kind of like this chart because it puts them all in one place. Another idea to use is cubing. And cubing is simply taking one of these pieces of paper here and having your students cut it out and make a cube. And you can put different tasks on different sides of the cube. And you can have your students roll the cube, and then they have to do whatever the activity says on the cube. Honestly, I think this is a lot of work. I much prefer to simply use dice. So I'll have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I'll give each group a dice or a die, and I'll have them toss it. And then whatever one of these numbers they get, that's what the group has to do for that particular day. And, perhaps it'll change the next day. One way to organize this is by using Looms Taxonomy, where you start with the knowledge, the tell, describe, name, list, understand, compare, explain, define, apply, design, produce, develop, etc. So this is one way that you can help differentiate your lessons by having students do different kinds of tasks to help them learn the content of the lesson that you're presenting. An example of this maybe would be the Swedish chef video, where you would have a die and you would roll it and you would describe what the chef is wearing. Or maybe you would explain why steam is coming out of his ears. Or maybe you'll develop a plan to help the Swedish chef with his recipe. Or discuss the consequences of not tasting the recipe often. Maybe you would devise a different ending for the story. And finally, watch another Swedish chef story, debate which one is better and why. So you can see that these become more and more complex as you go down. So if you have a mixed level group, you could randomly have students in a group, and hopefully some of the lower level students would be able to contribute to some of these lower level skills on the Bloom's taxonomy, but still learn from their peers and feel like they're part of the class without being stigmatized for maybe not being as strong in English as their peers are. We could practice this idea in Nearpod. So let's jump back in there one more time and we'll see if my Nearpod is doing what I hope it's going to be doing. And let's go ahead and try this. I think it somehow got out of order. Let's go ahead and submit to teacher view. Here we go. I think this activity is a activity that we should have done earlier. I apologize. And what I'm asking you to do in this activity is that I had those 3 examples from one of the websites about differentiated passages. And what I wanted you to do for this is to put a number 1 on the one that is the lowest level, and put a number 2 on the one that is the intermediate level, and put a number 3 on the level that is the most difficult. So again, using your pen, draw number 1 over the example for a beginner, a 2 for the intermediate example, and a 3 for the advanced level. So these were the 3 passages that came from the website that I showed you earlier. And what you need to do is figure out which one of these is the lowest level or the beginning level. And if you are not in Nearpod, you can just, we have this first one, the second one, and the third one. Identify which of these is the first. I'll give you a hint. The first one is this one, so I'm going to put a 1. Now you decide which one is more complex. And I think, of course, you'll want to do it by length, but that's not always true. But it may be in this situation. I'll let you see. So we have about 42 seconds left for you to try that. "32 seconds. Here we go. And again, this was a story about food in restaurants. And there are activities associated with this that you can find on the website. I'm going to switch back to the teacher view and we'll see what kind of answers we're getting. Yes, I can see that people are identifying there. There we have a 1, 3, 2, a 1, 3, 2, a 1, 3, 2, a 2, 3, 1. So maybe they were, I'm not sure what they were doing, but it is. The beginning level was definitely that first one. The last one was number 2, and the third one was this middle one. This Nearpod, I will give you a code that I will put in Tech for Teaching that you can access if you want to go in and try this on your own. I know not everybody had a chance to get in here. But thank you for your participation. Again, trying to show you some of the features of Nearpod that you can use in your classrooms. Let's go back And we have, I think, one more activity to do, and it's not that one. So I am going to come back into our PowerPoint and wrap this up here very quickly. You can, as a way to differentiate, use a jigsaw strategy. And that's where you ask a group of students to become experts on something. And then you have the experts share their knowledge with the rest of the group. And this is a great way, I think, to give power to students. It really makes them feel important when they have to come back to the group and share what they learned with everybody else. You do have to prepare the activity. You have the students work in their expert groups and they meet in their teaching groups, and then they have to synthesize and reflect on what it is that they did. And an example of this, of how you would set this up, let's say you do have 49 students or 50 students. I just randomly chose 49 students, but you could also have 2 students pair up and act as 1 student, but you would have tell your class, okay, I want everybody to get into groups of 7. And once everybody's in a group of 7, go around to each group and give each person in the group a number. So you have group A, and then you have a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Same thing with group B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then after everybody's met their group, their teaching group, you're going to meet with your expert group. So you're going to say, okay, everybody change places. Now I want all of the 1s to get together, all of the 2s to get together, all of the 3s to get together. And in this round 2 is where you give them the task. They talk about the task, they brainstorm ideas, it all depends on what the task is that you're giving them. And then they go back to their teaching groups. And each person in the group is responsible for sharing information to the rest of the group. And an activity I was thinking about that you could do with this is to think of this like a 7-course meal. Maybe you could tell your class, listen, we are preparing a 7-course meal. We're going to have 2 appetizers, 1 main dish, 2 side dishes, and 2 desserts. So each group is responsible, each expert group is responsible for 1 course. So maybe they need to get together and figure out something they want to prepare for an appetizer or for a main dish or for a side dish. And then they have to either memorize the ingredients and the directions, or they can write it down. But the key is when they come back, they can't just show it to the rest of the group. They have to read it, and the rest of the group has to write it down. So it's a way to kind of do an authentic dictation exercise. And if you've ever been looking for 4-ingredient websites, you can check out this website here in the PowerPoint. Finally, let's differentiate projects. You need to identify the key knowledge, understandings, and skills the product will incorporate. I showed you at the beginning of this webinar 50 strategies for differentiated instruction. I encourage you to look at that infographic and incorporate it into your own teaching. Make sure that you have some kind of assessment tool, and you can certainly allow students to help create rubrics that you don't have to always do it yourself. So you can tell the students, what do you think I should grade you on? What do you think is important for you to learn? And I think that they enjoy taking the ownership of that sometimes. One way you can do that is by creating learning menus or choice boards, and that is going back to the idea of creating ownership. You can do this like it is a menu where you can say, here are some appetizers. So here are some assignments that you have a choice of completing. You choose one of these. Maybe the main dish is everybody must do the main dish. Maybe a side dish is that there are 2 items that you have to complete. And then maybe the desserts are optional. They're just options the students can do if he or she chooses. And honestly, sometimes students don't choose to do the options. Sometimes students want to do the minimum. But if they're interesting enough, I find that sometimes those students who are really advanced are really excited by having more choices that are a little bit more challenging. I wanted to show you some examples of what this could look like. You could, for example, have a fairy tale unit where you select a fairy tale and you read it to yourself or to one other person. And here's the main dish. So it says complete all, complete a story map, find 5 new interesting words. Here you have a choice for the side dish. Maybe choose just one of these. Compare this fairy tale to another. Record your favorite part of the fairy tale in a recorder, or maybe illustrate it. The listening, maybe you could, listen to the fairy tale or a tape of your choice. So this is just one menu planner that you could possibly adapt to your class. If you're using a phone right now, your eyes will probably go, ooh, because this is very, very hard to read. I hope that you can blow this up in the PowerPoint and take a better look at it. But these are some examples of some games or some board choices that you can give to your students. This is a tic-tac-toe board where everybody has to write a 1-paragraph summary. And then your students can choose if they want to do 3 and 7. So they have to do 3, 5, 7, and that makes a line. Or for tic-tac-toe, you could do 4, 5, and 6, or 1, 5, and 9, or 2, 5, and 8. And all of these are different ideas centered around the same novel or the same story. Again, this is pretty high level. This would be more for high school or college level, perhaps, but you could adapt this tic-tac-toe board to your own students. And here's another example of a tic-tac-toe board. And this is using those multiple intelligences that we talked about earlier. And again, this is very difficult to read. I'm not going to read it to you. You can come back and look at this after the webinar. What perhaps is most important to know is that I have 3 websites here with free templates for you to use. Some of them are as simple as this spelling choice board where you can choose 4 activities. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 activities, and you can ask your students to choose 4 of these to do. For example, write your word 3 times, each using different crayons or markers. Maybe you can say, write each of your spelling words in a sentence, underline the words in each sentence. So again, for kind of your lower level learners, maybe this would be a more appropriate choice board. These templates can be found on these 3 websites. I encourage you to explore those. Let's go back to Nearpod one more time. I think this, no, let's not. Skip that. Rules of thumb for differentiated instruction. This is what you did earlier. I had my Nearpod slides reversed, but these are kind of the review of what Carol Ann Tomlinson is suggesting that we all do. And that's know that teachers teach students first and then content, that we need to be clear on the key concepts. We need to think of assessment as a roadmap. We need to create lessons that are engaging. We need to, that engage all students in critical and creative thinking, design them to be engaging for all students, and balance student selected and teacher assigned tasks and working arrangements. So it can't be a free-for-all. Students can't just say, I only want to do this and that's it. We do definitely need to still have our teacher assigned assignments. Whew. I'm going really quickly because we're getting ready to go into our closing ceremony. Let me very quickly review what we've done in these last 6 webinars. You should have by now done your 4 skills lesson plans, done your 6-word memoir introduction. You should have contributed to the Mad Libs discussion and taken the quiz on the content from webinar 2. In webinar 3, we had resources to read and then fill out a questionnaire. Number 4 was to record a Flipgrid introduction, and I loved your introductions. Thank you so much for sharing those. I asked you to add a posting to Wakelet and then review tech resources in a wiki. And some of you may have been wondering, where is my grade for my wiki? I was waiting to grade that until today to give people enough time to actually post something in the wiki. And I will certainly be looking at in the next few days. If you didn't have a chance, I will look at that and see if you were able to participate. This is an incredible resource. Please check this out. All of you have given me great ideas for websites that you have used and why you liked them and how you use them. So please, these webinars are not just about learning from me, it's about learning from each other. And you all have a wealth of knowledge that you have contributed to this wiki. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Webinar 5, our last webinar, you were supposed to contribute to the superpower discussion and review the resources and try to finish up all of these activities. For this webinar, we have just 2 things. I have some extra resources for you about differentiated instruction. If you want to learn more about this, I have some resources from our American English website that I would encourage you to take a look at. And then we have a quick 3, 2, 1 discussion. So let me go ahead and show you that Tech for Teaching. And I'm going to pop over here to our Tech for Teaching. And mine, of course, looks a teeny bit different from yours because I am the instructor, not the student. Although I know we're all instructors, I should say participant, excuse me. And we will give that a moment to load. There we go. So there was our webinar, webinar 2, webinar 3, webinar 4, webinar 5, webinar 6. What I would like to have you do for this last webinar is, it's kind of an exit ticket. I'd like to have you give me some feedback on these webinars. So this is something I do with my students as an exit ticket. I ask them 3, 2, 1. What are 3 things you learned in this webinar, these 6 webinars? What are 2 things you found interesting in these webinars? And what is 1 suggestion you have for improving webinars like these in the future? So if you could kindly fill that out, I would be very, very happy. Most important is to complete the activities and webinars 1 through 5. And since we have just a moment here, I'm going to show you some of the brilliant ideas that people have contributed, especially in webinar 5 in our wiki. Come on, come on. There we go. Let's see. No, I'm sorry. It was in our webinar 4. If you open that up, you should see from your colleagues that we have lots and lots of ideas about websites. Look at this. I think you could spend the next 10 years looking at all of these different websites that your clever colleagues have posted. So I encourage you, please, to go in here and check these out. I think there will be a wealth of content and of exercises and strategies that you can use to help improve your teaching and especially your online teaching. Okay, I think that's it for our Tech for Teaching. Remember that when you contribute to the discussions, I try to reply to everybody. I really want to thank all of you that have been so active in the Tech for Teaching, and I appreciate what you've done to contribute to these 6 webinars by adding your thoughts and comments in the discussions and in the activities that we have been looking at. What did we do today? We discussed the benefits and challenges of working with large classes. We reviewed differentiated instruction theory. We identified strategies for differentiating instruction. You participated in some Nearpod activities. You visited some websites with me with resources for differentiation, and you checked out our Tech for Teaching website. It's almost time for our closing ceremony. I want to leave you with a little video. Again, this is kind of silly, and I think perhaps I'll go into Nearpod to share this. This website, or this video is from the Muppets, and it is a song about being together again. And right now, I know it's very discouraging to not be with our students and to not be with our colleagues, but I really believe that things are going to turn around, hopefully in the spring, and that we'll all be together again. So this is a goofy video, but it kind of makes me happy and gets me excited. And I hope someday that I get to visit Vietnam again and get to meet some of you or all of you in person, and that we can all be together again. So let me go ahead and play this little short video for you. I think I'm going to play this short video for you. Come on. Are your eyes going around and around watching this circle? Well, I may have to just send you the link. The link is here. If you want to access this Nearpod, you can watch this video on your own. I'm not sure that it's going to play, but it's just a song of these Muppets all coming out and singing together again. So I look forward to those days. I want to thank you all so much for your participation in this, in these webinars. I know we're all looking forward to being together again. In the meantime, have a fabulous school year. I've heard this, and I'm sure you've heard it before. We don't teach for the income, we teach for the outcome. So I truly, truly do. I honor your dedication and commitment to your students. Thank you so much for your attention, and I look forward to hearing more from you in our Tech for Teaching, and I wish you the best of luck in the coming school year. Thank you so, so much. I will stop my share, and we will go back to our closing ceremony. Okay.
Thank you very much, Amy, for another great webinar. And now we will turn to the closing ceremony. I see that my director, Dr. Phương, and Mr. Gerald Frank, Relo Vietnam director, have joined us. May I request that before we start the closing, could you please turn on your camera if it is available on your device to take some group photos. Now we will wait for 1 minute for everyone to turn on the camera. Okay, let's smile. Now, the first shot. The second shot. Let's smile. And the last shot. Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the closing ceremony of the webinar series on English language teaching titled Reflecting on Teaching by Thinking, Practicing, and Doing, hosted by CML Retract and sponsored by Relo Vietnam from April to August 2021. Attending the opening ceremony today, it's my great honor to welcome Mr. Gerald Frank, Relo Vietnam Director. And I would like to welcome again Ms. Amy Christensen, English Language Specialist from New Mexico, the United States. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Hồ Thanh Mỹ Phương, CML Retract Director. And I am happy to welcome again more than 80 teachers from many provinces in Vietnam. Let me briefly present the agenda of the closing ceremony. After the introduction, we will have a brief report on the implementation of the webinar series. Then some participants will be invited to have some reflections. Next, Ms. Ami will have some sharing to close the series. My director and Relo Vietnam director will give some closing remarks before we end. First of all, on behalf of the team of coordinators from CML Retract, I would like to have a wrap-up report on the implementation of the webinar series. First, about the achievement of the objective, we can say that the objective series achieved its objective, which is to provide participants with the advanced professional knowledge and skills, focusing on current teaching methodology and second language acquisition theories. Importantly, participants had a great chance to widen their network, where they're networking to colleagues from different places in Vietnam. About the implementation of the series, all 6 webinars were organized as planned on Tuesday morning of the 3rd week every month from April to August, from 8:30 to 10:30. The first webinar and the second webinar were organized in April, which was Shine a Light on 4 skills integration and make over your grammar and vocabulary lessons. The third webinar in May was Think Critically about critical thinking. The fourth webinar in June was Trusted Technology Tips for Top-Notch Teaching. The fifth webinar in July was Use Your Superpowers to Develop New Materials. And the webinar today, as you have just joined, Cooking as a Metaphor for Preparing Mixed Level Classes. So we can say that this is a success when we implemented the webinar series as we planned at the beginning. In terms of the mode of delivery, besides live webinar on the Zoom app, participants were provided with accounts to access an online platform to do assignments provided by the specialists. Major activities of the webinars included presentation, practicing, discussion, reflection, quizzes, and so on. So you can see not only presentations or one-way lectures, but also many other engaging activities to encourage active learning from participants. So this is another success of the webinar series. Participants, we sent invitation to about 100 participants from many provinces in southern provinces of Vietnam to join the webinars. The highest number of attendance in a webinar was 89, and the lowest number of attendance in the webinar was 57. So you see that most participants were are committed to very committed to the webinars. You attended very actively and attentive to the lectures. Participants are teachers from different levels: primary, secondary, tertiary, and also freelancer. Participants are from southern provinces of Vietnam, including Khánh Hòa, Ninh Thuận, Bình Thuận, Lâm Đồng, Đắk Nông, Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu, Hồ Chí Minh City, Tây Ninh, Tiền Giang, Đồng Tháp, and An Giang. Here are some screenshots. Please join me to review some screenshots that we had in the last webinars. Do you remember? This is the second webinars, right? Yeah, this is a reflection after the group discussion by a participant. Ami was always work with full energy. Yeah, and this is the screenshot today. I also took some screenshots on the Tech4Teach platform. I can see that there were a lot of activities, and most of you joined the forum in the Tech4Teach platform in a very active way. What's next? After this closing ceremony, you will be provided with a link to do the online evaluation form after the closing. You know, the final evaluation is very important to us as CML Retract, so that we know your feeling, your feedbacks to improve our activities, our programs in the future. And upon completion of your assignments and evaluation, those of you who meet minimum requirements will be awarded with e-certificates. And if you still need support, please don't hesitate to contact the webinar coordinator, Ms. Châu Hoàng Lan, the one who sends emails to you before any webinars. She's still there to support you anytime. Thank you very much. That is the end of my report on the wrap-up information about the implementation of the report. And now I will invite two participants from Tây Ninh and Lâm Đồng province to have some reflections. And if you have any other reflections that you want to share, please raise your hand or just send a message to me in the chat box so that I will invite you after the two participants share their reflections. First, may I invite Ms. Trần Thị Lệ Thanh from Hoàng Lê Kha High School for the Gifted, Tây Ninh province, to have some reflections. Ms. Thanh, are you available?
Beyond, the first I want to send thank you to U.S. Embassy, our teacher, Miss Annie, and Female Request Organization. Thank you for what you have done for and with us. The webinar series, the ideas, and the time we are with each other. Teacher Annie, please accept our sincere thanks. You are our new hero teacher. Your smile, your voice will be in our mind forever. Your sharing will be in our lesson throughout our teaching career. We promise to share all that we have had from your webinar series with our college, especially integration, critical thinking, trusted technology tips. Thank you again. Our effective teacher, we wish our Vietnamese teachers to have more help from you in near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lệ Thanh from Hoàng Lê Kha High School for the Gifted. And now, may I invite Ms. Đoàn Ngọc Lâm from Hòa Ninh Lower Secondary School, Zealand District, Lâm Đồng Province, to have some reflection.
Okay. Yeah, excuse me, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, thanks. Dear Mrs. Hồ Thanh Mỹ Phương, Senior Recheck Director, dear Mr. Gerald Frank, Relo Director, dear Miss Amy Kristen, Relo English Language Specialist from Mexico, US. It is such a great honor for me to represent my college to have some words. First of all, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the Board of Directors of Senior Recheck and the sponsor, Red Lows, for hosting the webinar series Teaching Methodology for English Teachers in Vietnam. As we know, although Ho Chi Minh City has been severely hit by the fourth wave of COVID-19 pandemic, resulting in a large number of obstacles such as lockdowns, movement rejection, and it's worth probably that you had to postpone the webinars. We are deeply emotional when senior leadership has been organizing a full range of high quality seminars with various practical and useful themes, reflecting on teaching by thinking, practicing, and doing, with shared topics that meet the innovative needs of English teaching in Vietnam. On behalf of the teachers, we would like to thank you all most sincerely. In addition, we would like to express my special thanks to Mr. Trần Phước Linh, head of the Department of Researchers on Project Development, Ms. Cho Wang Lan, the Program Officers of the Department of Research and Project Development, and the IT Department for your thoughtfulness and enthusiasm and tremendous efforts to make the online webinar series professionally organized. Finally, I would like to express my sincerely appreciation to Ms. Amy Christians, our respected lecturer from New Mexico, US. I cannot find the words to express my feeling now because we almost say goodbye to you after a long, interesting, valuable webinar series on Untitled Chapter. Thank you so much for your assistance, encouragement, guidance, support with great inspiration, and your fully creative energy in each lesson that you share to us. You have provided Vietnamese teachers not only the advanced professional knowledge and skills focused on current teaching methodology, but also a plethora of different ways of using technologies in English language teaching, such as Palette, Nearport, etc., and a wide range of latest sources of website for creating interesting gaming for students of mixed levels like card deck and SWAT game, etc., which are going to be very attractive activity to our beloved students in Vietnam. On behalf of the teachers, one more time, I would like to thank you, all of you. I and all English teachers in Vietnam in general look forward to attending the next high quality training sections as this webinar series from Similar Chat. Besides, we also expect to see Miss Annie again in the next seminars with your sharing of latest methods to the teachers in Vietnam. Once again, thank you very much for the leadership and the staff of Similar Chat. Yeah, you do not care about the COVID-19 spread. You keep doing that action. And also the sponsor, Redlow, and especially Miss Amy Kristen. I wish everyone good health, a new school year full of energy, and bring students interesting lesson with new method that we had collected in webinar series from Miss Annie. And we are going to be superheroes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miss Lam, and also Miss Tan for your beautiful words. I also read some thank you messages in the chat box to Ami and the organizers. Like Miss Tan and Miss Lam just mentioned, I believe that all of the participants admire and appreciate Ami for her expertise, enthusiasm, and great skills of presentation. We all now would like to invite Ami to have some sharing as a farewell message to the webinar participants.
Well, thank you so much to the two participants with their kind words about the webinar series. It really has been an honor to work with all of you. I want to thank Simeo Retrack for the excellent leadership that you've provided. Whenever I've had questions, you're always so quick to answer them. So it's been a pleasure to work with you and with the Relo office. So again, I want to thank everybody behind the scenes for helping to make these webinars successful. But honestly, the webinars are about you because you're all teachers in the classroom and you do such important work. And I have the greatest admiration for teachers across the world, especially in these very trying times. One of my favorite quotations about education is that education is not the filling of the pail, but the lighting of the fire. And that's a quotation by Yeats. And I think it really means that we are here to motivate our students and to give hope to our students. And I think that a lot of you have told me that in the messages that you have contributed in the Tech for Teaching. And I also see it in your faces, your bright faces. And I know that you are all fire starters. So if you have a lighter handy, I want to congratulate you for lighting the fire for your students because that is what teachers need to do. And I think that you're all doing it really well. I wish you the best of health and the best school year ever. And I hope again that we will get back to normal soon and that this will all be in the past and that we can continue to look forward in the future because Vietnam's leaders are in your hands. You are teaching them right now and I admire you for that. So keep up the good work. Light those fires, baby. Love you.
Thank you very much, Ami, for your farewell message. Ladies and gentlemen, as I shared many times, Female Retract always try our best, mobilize all possible resources to provide opportunities of professional development for English teachers in Vietnam and Southeast Asia. My director always shared this vision and mission to us as Female Retract. Now, may I invite Dr. Hồ Thanh Mỹ Phương, Female Retract Director, to deliver the closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Linh. Distinguished Mr. Sharon Frank, Regional English Language Officer, U.S. Embassy in Hanoi. Ms. Amy Christensen, Reload's English Language Specialist from New Mexico, the United States. Management and staff from Female Retract and Reload, webinar participants from many provinces in Vietnam. Good morning. On behalf of Female Regional Training Center, Female Retract, I would like to congratulate all participants upon the completion of the series of webinars on English teaching methodology for English teachers hosted by Female Retract and sponsored by Regional English Language Office within the English Language Specialist Program. The 6 webinars within this series are exceptionally good, delivered by a professional and experienced specialist, Ms. Amy. I myself frequently attended the webinars and I could see how productive the webinars are and how participants participated and enjoyed the presentations and the discussions. The contents of the webinars are well selected by the specialists and our team. The common issues such as teaching grammar and vocabulary, the 4 language skill integration, the application of ICT into English teaching and learning, as well as developing the new materials, using critical thinking, and teaching mixed level classes are among those which most English teachers in Vietnam are interested in. The webinar series were designed in a way that encouraged active learning from all participants. The lecturer applied a variety of methods to help participants learn by thinking, practicing, and doing in group discussion, in reflection, in quizzes, and so on, apart from presentations. Especially during the webinars, the lecturer provided a great number of useful and interactive ICT tools and websites for teaching and learning. I highly appreciate the huge resources provided by the lecturer. Those tools are very practical and friendly to users and applicable in many English classroom settings. Moreover, participants also had opportunities to learn and interact on an online platform. Participants were divided into groups to do assignments, and most of you did a great job. Although you are teaching different levels at your school, such as primary, lower secondary, high school, you all share common interests, common ideas in teaching English. I appreciate your hard work and sharing on the Tech4Teach platform as well. All of these made this webinar series a successful course, a good opportunity of professional development for English teachers in Vietnam, and a good example of sustainable collaboration between CMA Track and the U.S. mission of Vietnam. On this occasion, I would like to thank the Regional English Language Office for your continuing support and collaboration to CMA Track. I hope that we will have a more collaborative programs in the future, either within the English Language Specialist Program, English Fellow Program, or other training courses. I highly appreciate the presence of Mr. Sharon Frank for this closing ceremony. I know that you are busy with your work in Japan now, but you are still here with us at this closing ceremony. Thank you very much. My thanks also go to the staff from Relo in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City for working with us to make this course a successful one. My special thanks go to Miss Amy Christensen from New Mexico in the United States. Thank you very much, Miss Amy, for your excellent lectures given at each seminar. Your expertise, your teaching, facilitating style, and your professionalism are very much appreciated by CMA Track and all the course participants. I also like to thank all the webinar series participants, teachers from different provinces of Vietnam for your active participation in this webinar series. I hope you found this course productive and useful for your teaching, and you will be able to apply as much as possible what you have learned to your teaching in the new school year. The 6 videos of the webinar series is now available on CMA Track YouTube channel. I think you can share with your other colleagues to learn from the great topics of this webinar series. Before saying goodbye to all of you, I'd like to take this opportunity to wish all of you good health and success. Please stay safe from the pandemic. Thank you very, very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hồ Thanh Mỹ Phương, for your closing remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very happy that Mr. Gerald Frank, Relo Vietnam Director, is able to attend the closing ceremony today to celebrate the achievements with us and to inspire English language teachers in Vietnam. May I invite Mr. Gerald Frank to have some closing remarks.
Well, hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Yes. Well, greetings. Good morning. I'm in Tokyo, Japan, as Director Fong noted. On leave, visiting my family. But in the background, I have a picture of Ho Chi Minh City. So I'm thinking about you and all of my colleagues and friends in Vietnam as we're undergoing the recent wave of the pandemic. I hope all of you stay very, very safe and well. So as you all know, I'm very happy to be here today to wrap up this webinar series. It was called Teaching by Thinking, Practicing, and Doing. That's a very great title. The program was instituted by CMA ReTrack and sponsored by our office, the Regional English Language Office in the U.S. Embassy in Hanoi. And I'd like to thank CMA ReTrack, Dr. Fong, and the team for organizing this seminar and inviting me to speak. It was very well organized. I was very impressed. I was able to hop in once in a while and see what was going on. And I was very impressed by everybody's enthusiasm and dedication. So 4 months you guys were together. That's a long time. And you held it together. I think you had a good time. I think you learned a lot from Dr. Christensen, so thank you very much, Amy. I think maybe more importantly, as Dr. Christensen said, you probably learned a lot more from each other than you did from any other source. So you talked about teaching methodology for English language teachers, introducing grammar and vocabulary, critical thinking, 4 skills integration, mixed level classes, teaching technology, and developing new materials. Well, that's a lot. That's a lot. And I hope that you'll be able to apply this in your classroom. I hope your students will benefit from your dedication. And as Dr. Fong said, I hope you'll share this with your colleagues in your regions. CMU Retrack does a lot to build the capacity of our teachers in Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and in the whole region here. And we're picking the best of the best to join these seminars. And we know that you'll share what you learned in your classes and you'll be able to apply them. So even though this is the last day of the series, the network that you've made, the connection that you've developed, I hope that they'll continue to thrive and to grow, and you'll continue to communicate with each other. We hope that we can get Dr. Amy over here in Vietnam in person once this pandemic is over. I'd very much like to see her in person. She did a fantastic job with this group. Thank you, Dr. Amy, for using so many of our American English resources in your presentations. Please, everybody, visit our American English website. We have a Facebook page. There's also a YouTube channel. Lots of great activities there for you to use. Please share them with your colleagues. Tell us how you're using them. And also, I mean, we have, Dr. Christensen's awesome, but we have a database of 5,000 English language specialists in the United States that we can invite for just about anything. We depend on you, the teachers and our colleagues at places like CMU Retrack, to tell us what the needs are in your community. And we just don't sit around dreaming up programs. We depend on you. So if there's a need in your classrooms, in your community, in your region specifically, ask us. We're happy to help identify the right people, the right resources to help you meet those needs. Please visit our U.S. Embassy Facebook page, Ho Chi Minh City's Facebook page, our websites. For other opportunities, we have a lot of exchange activities. We're always looking for partners to help us implement our English Access Micro Scholarship Program. We're always looking for participants and candidates for programs like our Fulbright T program. Please look at all of our open resources, open online resources for teacher capacity development. Our quarterly series of webinars are also a great resource. So again, thank you to everybody who's tuned in for 4 months. Thank you, Amy, for your enthusiasm, your dedication, for building this great network of teachers. You guys are heroes. You're superheroes. The pandemic has changed the way that we teach. It's changed the dynamics of our classrooms. And it's teachers like you who are in this series who are taking it upon themselves to develop themselves professionally and then share with their colleagues and their communities that enable us to transform and to keep going and to keep teaching in these challenging times. You guys are the leaders, you're the heroes, and I appreciate you very, very much. So thank you so much for your hard work. It's great that we're able to collaborate together on these sorts of activities. Thank you, CMU Retrack, again for trusting us and helping us to find the right people for your programs. We appreciate it very much. And I really value this partnership that we have, and I hope it continues to grow. So teachers, stay in touch with us. Tell us what you want. Tell us what you need. We're here for you. And again, thank you, Amy, and for all my colleagues at the CMU Retrack. It's been a great 4 months. So congratulations to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Once again, thank you. We at CMU Retrack and all participants appreciate your support. As Ms. Trần Thị Lệ Thanh just typed on the chat box, thank you, Mr. Gerald Frank, for what you have done for us. And also thank you for your attendance today virtually from Japan.
Well, thank you. And can I just add one more thing? I forgot to mention the hard work of my colleagues in our mission, Wen Tran and Zong Li, for all the work they do behind the scenes to make sure all these programs work and go smoothly. So I'd like to acknowledge them as well. So thank you.
Yes, I will send a message to Mr. Jung and Ms. Nguyen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the closing ceremony of the webinar series on English language teaching, organized by CMU Retrack and sponsored by Regional English Language Office, U.S. Embassy in Hanoi. May I wish you good health, success, and stay safe from the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you again and goodbye.